Hello, this is Timothy at the Lionsgate Missionary Vision. Hello, this is my coffee cup, and you'll notice the cinnamon. It looks like my cup's dirty, but it's cinnamon. I love cinnamon. Ty, you don't like grits. I don't barely like grits. Grits are not puppy food. Right, no. Grits are the last resort of the unimaginative. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want grits. Okay. So, I just wanted everybody to see that look she gets and how she bores her eyes into me while I'm eating. Now, she just had part of a turkey carcass, some gravy, and she eats better than most people. And she's got a full bowl of food in the room. And yet, she is focused on that bowl of grits.
When?
Hello, this is Timothy at the Lionsgate Missionary Vision. I just had to clip in that little picture of Matai trying to beg for food because it is a sight to see. And I wish I could get some of the expressions that we get on her face because she just has this real expressive way of looking. And my gosh, she just bores holes into you while you're eating. And I have it under control. If guests come over, I just put her on the porch because there will be no begging at our table. But when nobody's around, we do spoil these dogs, and I'll admit it. We love them. So anyway, that being said, it is hard to be king, isn't it? So I got my coffee cup that Kathy bought for me. I really love this cup. It is hard to be king. That's true. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it, right? We are a kingdom of priests unto our Creator. And in our kingdom priesthood, we have responsibilities. And I'm going to read again that verse. This might be, I'm just going to read again that verse. I'm in Psalm chapter 26, verse 1. Judge me, O Yahweh, for I walk in my integrity. I confide in Yahweh, I waver not. Proof me, O Yahweh, proof me. Refine my reins and my heart. That's an interesting concept. Refine my reins, like reins on a horse, that's the proper word. Refine my reins and my heart. I used to think it meant reins of my heart. But I see that there are two things in operation here. We each have reins. You ever heard that phrase, a check in the spirit? You know, I learned that phrase when I first got saved and spent some time at Grandma's house. And Grandma, growing up, Donna Pierce is the lady I call my grandma. She is my grandma. She's my natural blood grandma. She's from the Flat side of the family, from Tennessee, and you've heard of Earl Scruggs and Lester Flatt that did the Beverly Hillbillies song, down, 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 down. Well, that's my grandmother's cousin, and Lester Flatt. And so anyway, that aside, my grandmother, who did grow up in Tennessee, and did get born again and filled with the Spirit when she was 7 years old. She got filled and started speaking in tongues at 7 years old. And I could tell more stories about my grandma, but for right now, let's just suffice it to say that much. So, when I first got saved and got filled, it happened totally outside of being around Grandma and Grandpa. It happened, like I said, if you've ever heard my testimony, I got saved in a jail cell in Houston, Texas. After I got out, I got deliverance. Someone cast devils out of me for 5.5 hours, and then I got caught up into heaven, and the Lord showed me some things, and I began to speak in tongues the very night I got saved, and or 4:30 in the morning. I had read a couple little booklets, How to Receive the Holy Spirit and Why Tongues by Kenneth Hagin. I read those books, prayed the prayer at the end of them, and woke up at 4:30 in the morning speaking in tongues. And then I got caught up into heaven. That's a whole other story. But anyway, that being said, my grandmother shared with me one time when I was a very brand new believer. She said, Timothy, you know what a check in the spirit is? And I said, no, I've never heard that phrase. And she said, you know, the Lord guides us in many ways. And one of them is He has reins, just like a horse has reins. He has reins on us by the Spirit. And if you will be very sensitive and listen and pay attention, you will feel that tug of the Spirit. And you will know things that other people don't know. Not because you're something so much better or spiritual than them, but just because you're paying attention. And one of my jokes with people in ministry has always been, of all the things you pay in life, attention costs the most. If you don't pay attention, it will cost you beyond anything you can imagine. And if you do pay attention, it'll prosper you. And what attention do you want to pay most to? That is the reins of the Holy Spirit in your life. You see, He's not a taskmaster. The devil's a taskmaster. He's not, the Lord who is in charge of all is not a control freak. He'll let you do what you want to do. Those reins are very gentle. And he pulls a little bit to the left, and pulls a little bit to the right. And if you don't pay attention, you will do whatever you want to do. But if you do pay attention to the Lord and to the reins that He's put in your heart, you will feel that check in the Spirit when the Lord's saying, whoa, hold back, don't do this. Or when He's saying, I want you to go to the left, I want you to go to the right, or I want you to go straight forward, or I want you to run, or I want you to walk. And there's, I don't know all the horse terminology, but there's anyone who had good horse knowledge would probably have a whole diatribe of things to say about this business of reins. But I just wanted to share with you this little testimony because I really feel that everybody who's a believer in these days needs to pay attention more than ever in all history to the reins of your heart. Or, excuse me, I said it wrong, didn't I? To the reins of the Holy Spirit and to your heart. So they're two different things. The reins are the reins of RUACH Himself, guiding you if you will listen, if you will pay attention, if you will be sensitive. And I cannot tell you how many miracles I've had in my ministry just because I paid attention to the reins that the Lord had on me. And I've gone forward into things and I'm glad I listened because I saw destruction before many people. Destruction in many people's lives because they would not just pay attention. Hello, this is Timothy LaValle at the Lionsgate Missionary Vision in the library in Idlewild. I want to share a little bit about what's going on in my heart right now, and I'm getting ready to post a video. I think you guys are going to love it. It's just kind of a fun one this morning with a pretty heavy word in it, so it'll teach you if you need to learn of the Lord today. It's a blessing. And so I was in prayer when we first got up on this mountain, Idlewild, about 4 years ago. I was praying, and I saw a vision. I saw the whole mountain begin to erupt as like a volcano. Now this mountain is a granite rock. It's not likely that it's ever going to erupt as a volcano in the natural, and I wouldn't want to be there if it did. But I think it was the Lord was speaking to me about a prophetic thing, that the fire of the Lord is about to erupt all over Southern California. And Southern California has had more than its share of great revivals, but I see one happening in the Spirit. I see one coming. And I know that people back east love to pick on LA and say it's going to fall into the sea and all that stuff, and maybe it will. I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe it will. I think the Lord's a lot more merciful than that. But if anyone ever deserved it, it's California. However, let's not get into East Coast versus West Coast, because there's a whole lot of reasons for God to wipe that off the face of the earth too. So, loving, merciful God that we serve, I'm not worried about it right now myself. So, having said that, what I saw, that lava and that lava flow that went down around everywhere, north, south, east, and west from Idlewild, which includes Palm Springs on one side, Hemet on one side, Banning, Ontario, Riverside, San Bernardino County, all those areas round about us. I believe that there's a brewing of the work of the Holy Spirit that wants to just explode. Now remember, when I talk about an explosion, I'm talking about a prophetic, apostolic work of the Holy Spirit that is without boundaries for humans to be containing this, like they were warned way back at Angela's temple, don't turn this into denominations, like 5 denominations came out of it. That said, I believe that this outpouring that the Lord wants to bring is going to happen very grassroots. And to that end, I'm going to start knocking on doors of some spiritual households. And they're going to be in some buildings. And they may or may not be denominations. I don't know. But the message I have is come out of her, my people. And when I'm speaking to her, I'm talking about that Babylonian system that masquerades as God's church, which it is not. And the thing is that out of all the doors I've knocked on over the years, maybe 1% ever answered and allowed the Lord to move in those places. I'm old-fashioned that way. I just love door-to-door sales. I always have. For me to knock on doors is no big deal. I've never been afraid of it. I've been doing it since I was 9 or 10 years old. I used to sell newspaper subscriptions door-to-door. So I knock on doors, and of course we go out in twos, and all that when we go to houses. But when I go do ministry-oriented stuff, to ministries that are already maybe in a church building or whatever, I don't mind knocking on doors and trying to feel it out and see if there's any way that we can bring revival to that house. And I pray about it before I do it. And so if I knock on your door, it's likely that the Lord was really in it, because I won't do it unless I'm convinced. And second of all, everywhere I've ever done that, and we're talking 35 years of ministry, anytime I've ever knocked on a door to do ministry, an outpouring happens. Sometimes they're not real well known or big, but they are powerful. So I know that wherever I go, the Lord goes with me. I know that miracles happen, outpourings happen, and if men don't sabotage it, and I don't even say the devil, I say men. If men don't sabotage it, we will have an outpouring in your neck of the woods if you will answer that door. So I'm just saying that, and I'm going to publish this on YouTube, and anyone who calls, anyone who responds, anyone who opens the door, I will do my best to step into that and be the part that I am. I'm not saying I am the great man that makes it happen. The Lord is the great man that makes it happen, but I want to do my part. Will you do your part? If you'll do your part, I'll do my part, and together we'll see a great outpouring.
If you want to support our work, write your check to the Lion's Share Portal, Inc. Mail it in care of Timothy Laval, General Delivery to the Idlewild Post Office, 92549. Thank you for your patience as I learn how to make the font bigger and the right color so it stands out. In the meantime, I'll have to do these voiceovers to make it happen. I'm looking forward to an outpouring. It's time. Shalom.